Right. Okay. I get plenty of phone calls every 5 seconds now. Okay, my apologies. Not my fault on this occasion. Right. Standing Orders Working Group meeting. Right. Apologies from Nick, because he's travelling. Declarations of interest? None?
None.
Right. Minutes of the Standing Order Working Group. We had a couple of points that I think you had raised, Martin, but you've actually, when you spoke to me yesterday, you said you'd incorporated a whole number of issues on the spreadsheet. So could we deal with them then and agree the minutes at the end?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Public participation. Haven't got any at the moment. I need to. Why don't we make a start? Peter, you've been doing some sterling work on making sure that we have a proper version of the document and have pulled together my attempts. Do you want to take us through what you've done so far and how we progress it?
Okay, well, what I've done is I've been through the standing order document and I've just tidied up the numbering and so forth.
Right.
And the pagination to get the pages breaks in at the right place.
Excellent.
And stuff like that. So, you know, it's going to look a little bit more like kind of a finished document. And then what I've done is I've taken all of the queries that I've seen on emails and in minutes of the meetings and so forth, and I've summarised all of those on a spreadsheet.
Excellent.
And what I've done then, having summarised them on a spreadsheet, I've put the what I believe to be the appropriate clause that deals with that individual query, and then I've sorted the spreadsheet in the order of the clauses. So if I can each give you, or give to each of you, a copy of that spreadsheet so that you can understand what I'm saying. I've got a spare copy here, Christine, if you'd like to have a look at it. And then, this is our work.
That's our lives.
So what you'll see is that some of the items are kind of repeated because they were actions,
Yes.
you know, for Jill. So as we go through the spreadsheet, you will see the first column is the source, so where I actually got the information through. And if it was, for instance, the first one was the meeting on the 22nd of June,
Yes.
and it said a guide for councillors to be written. And I think, you know, maybe we might want to put a reference into that in clause 1.1.4, which is the kind of the introductory section. So that's so that's what I'm saying about all of the queries. So what I would like to suggest is that today we can work through the document from the start and address these queries as we go through.
Yeah.
Hopefully get the queries closed out. And then once we've got all of the queries on the document finalised, I can then prepare a clean copy of the document.
Yeah.
And what I suggest then as the next step, when we've done that, is that if we were to go back to the original standing orders or the current standing orders,
Yes.
we can then do a cross-check to
We
make
have-
sure that all of the items that are in the current standing orders are included or covered appropriately, you know, whatever the change is,
Yes.
within the new set of standing orders, which we know was based upon another council. The kind of the boilerplate template that we used was based on another council. So that's what I propose. If we're able to get through this query list today, that would be fantastic.
Yes.
And then for next week, we can have a look at any outstanding things, and then we should be in a good position to be able to prepare an interim report for the council meeting at the end of the month. So
Okay.
that's my thought, sorry to go on.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Folks, your views? I think it's great, yes, I do.
Yeah, no, I think it is. But there is also an out guide for standing orders, so I don't know if we want to make reference
Is
to
that not the one that Nick has been,
Yes.
he's been working off
Yeah.
that for us?
Yes.
Sorry, what's that? The,
Now.
oh yeah, the NELP guide.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the latest version. If everyone's happy, I'd agree with the suggestion you've made. I have said a couple of things. Probably the next meeting will probably be the last one before the town council meeting. I have specifically written to the clerk to say, are you actually putting this on the agenda or not? I'll be a bit miffed if they don't, quite frankly, but it is. Well, it is strange times because if it doesn't occur in July, I suspect more people will be absent in August, and so we're then delayed to September. So why have we been dropping our plan out? You know, sort of get a lot done. So, but obviously it's up to her and the mayor to decide how they're going to do that. But I have actually forewarned her. And for maybe offline discussion later is, should a couple of us brief the mayor in detail, I think that's for a discussion perhaps next week. Because it's the thing I think we've all subscribed to, no surprises, you know, the other people should know. So let's see how that works out. But right, shall we start from here? 22nd of June, clause, this looks like 114.
So I'm just going to change the date today. I'll do this under track changes, what I'm doing today, if everybody's happy with that. Try and make that a little bit.
I went cross-eyed trying to do some of this. It's 114.
So in this was the first query, 114, the proper officer shall provide a copy of the council's standing orders to a councillor as soon as possible after they've delivered their acceptance of the office form. That's all straightforward, and they shall be published as part of the council's scheme of publication. And the query there was, Jill, do we have such a scheme?
I have not had a reply from the clerk yet, but I assume that she's extremely busy at the moment.
Okay.
And I'll just say TC to confirm.
Okay.
Right?
And that was where I've highlighted in green my suggestion for kind of the first item on the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
You know, should we include something like a short guide for councillors may be available or for the public or whatever in that section?
What do folks think?
My feeling is we don't need to refer to it. We can do it when we have time.
Right.
I agree with Martin. I've still got quite a lot to do.
Right.
And I would have thought this might be possibly something like in September.
Okay. So we're going to park this for now.
Yeah.
We're just going to retain it as
a potential action.
Yeah. Okay. And
I mean, if we make tremendous progress today and next week,
okay.
So I mean, there's somebody will have to sit down and write it in sort of plain English, as opposed to what we.
Okay.
Could we say publish on the website?
Well, that's exactly.
That's what we'll
Yeah. It will. Everything will be published on the website.
Yeah.
And in my view, having looked at a number of other councils who have got standing orders, I've yet to find a guide to help. So I think it would be a real asset.
Yes.
But it's about capacity and time and then its use.
And then we should copyright it and
Yes.
license it. Make some money for the council.
I just wanted to say that when you have the discussion about the scheme of publications, if you signpost the town clerk to the Freedom of Information page on the website,
Yes.
that has the appearance of a scheme of publications. It may not be complete and up to date, but it's the closest thing to what the council actually has to what you need to have.
Thank
So just have a look at that.
Thank you. Right. Right.
Okay, just running through the document, there was a comment here, items under 214, A to K deleted. Now, on your key guide at the beginning, you said that this text in green was equal to new text, Ian, so are we happy to, you know, you said A to 4 was deleted. Can we take that out now, or why do we want to have that in? This was from a previous edition.
This is items 2.14A to K have been deleted. There were a great long list of things that the mayor was doing, but they're actually, I think,
Summarised in the above.
this in a nutshell. Yeah, I think we delete that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Right. So whereabouts is this on our list?
That one wasn't on the list, so the next one on the list was 223.
232? Or
Yeah.
231, which was confirmation. Jill was clear that the RFO is not a proper officer.
Sorry, just before we get there, 224, you can see I've put the first few words of that paragraph in green. That's because that was a place where I corrected the numbering.
Right.
Okay, so you're happy that I can take that off now?
Yes.
Just,
Because the
you know,
wording has
you
not
won't
been
see-
altered at all.
no, the wording's not been altered, but you can see it reads 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yes.
6 now.
Sorry, could you just go up? Must be weird that a member of the council who decided we can go down. Is that not the same? Sorry, am I going a bit? It's the same paragraph. Can't share the calendar.
No.
No, it's a new chair, sorry. There is a little bit of detail difference.
This is why I went cross-eyed.
Yeah,
Right in the
did-
centre of it.
Okay,
Yes, that's fine. Agreed? Yeah.
right.
Moving on.
So 232, 231, 232.
Yes, there was some question as to could the RFO be a proper officer. Jill was of the view, no. And if and when they get a deputy town clerk, assistant town clerk, or whatever, that person would then also be classified as a responsible officer. But so that doesn't need to go into the notes. I think just leave 231 as it is now.
Leave 231 as it is,
Yeah.
okay?
Yep.
Okay. 232,
Okay with that except for town clerk rather than clerk? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
I think it reads okay.
Yes.
all right.
Now, I'm taking notes for the minutes, but I'm not sure any of it's relevant because it's just going to be either we accept this wording unless it's something unusual.
On the document, you might just want, what I've been doing is I'm just marking up my schedule with a tick
Yes.
to say that we've done it. Or
Okay, yes, yes. Okay, that's fine. Thank
So
you.
I think the minutes are working through this and
Yes.
incorporating as suggested.
232. I don't know why we've still got that. But
Well, because the two items on the spreadsheet are because if you see the second item is of the action on Jill.
yes.
But we've got
But
2 3 2s.
We've got 232s.
Two.
Oh.
2 3 2s.
Sorry.
So,
Which I think you've identified in here, Peter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think 233 counts.
That's good.
You think?
Is is that not going to then mess everything else up? Can you go back to that afterwards, Peter?
Yeah,
Because
I
if
can
not,
do.
this will be out of sync.
Okay, I'm just taking it. Second 232 needs renumbering.
Renumbering. Yeah. 234A.
Or do you want that as the second paragraph?
It could. Yeah.
Or is it just an extension of
I think
231?
it's an extension of 23.
232 of
231.
No, I think 232, second one, is an extension of the first
the first 232. Yes, if you could merge two. Yes, but if you merge the two 232s into one document,
Into one paragraph.
into one paragraph, sorry, and that will keep the numbering
Yeah.
correct as well.
Hopefully.
Most important.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to achieve.
I think I did this one evening and I was thinking,
No.
when can I finish this? When can I finish this? I need something to drink.
Okay, shall we say?
Yes. Spot on.
The event. Yes, that.
It flows.
Pardon?
It flows, okay.
It flows, yes. And 233 then flows.
Yeah.
As required, right? Okay.
234A.
Now this is this one that this is the statutory, so we can't change
No.
that.
No.
Okay. 23A and B again are statutory.
Right.
They are statutory, but you can add additional wording after the statutory inclusion, can't you, as long as it's not bold?
So what do you want to add on? Is that on
Sorry,
A?
I think what Peter was probably, I'm not trying to speak for him, but I think you're lining up the fact that we talked about it being more than 3 days if at all possible.
We've got that later
That's
on.
later on. Then
There's a
Yeah.
separate clause later on which
Yeah.
says that the council will endeavour.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a tick.
Okay. I think keep it clear of the statute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
310.
Hang on, let's just check. Yes, the green one. Yes, is that L?
Yes.
The proper officer will give similar notice to subcommittee and working group meetings as in 234A and B above.
Yeah.
The profit officer will endeavour to give 5 days notice of meetings
Yeah.
of the council committees, subcommittee, council committee, subcommittee or working group.
Yep.
Should those be in plural? They should
I
be
think so. If it's not in
committees.
plural, you should.
Yeah, so it's going to be council committees, subcommittees or working groups. And if it goes through as the heritage and townscape, so that forum. Was it forum? I'm with your Latin. Is it forums or fora? Yeah.
Fora, that's what I remember.
Fora is my school Latin.
Yeah. So do you want me to put fora in there?
No. No, we don't quite know what's happening with that.
Right, okay.
And it's not a council meeting per se, which was the whole point.
Yes. Very true.
Okay?
Right. So the next one is 3.1 and there was a comment, set up HR committee.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, this was from the meeting of the 8th of June. The
Yes.
committee must have a clear membership and clear responsibilities. The working document would note that not all deliberations of the HRC need to be confidential.
Right, and that was in section 3.1 somewhere. It goes logically.
Thus, for example, a new grading structure, a new organisation structure could be discussed at council meetings, and that only the confidential individual matters need to be the automatic exclusion of all the committee members.
Right.
So what's there at the moment is very generic, or is that
Yes.
very specific? And the question is,
Should we put that in as a Pardon?
As in U317.
A 317, but it's to be a question. This is our recommendation,
Yes.
but at the moment it's not council policy. And I think this is what we want to ask
What
the HR
do you
committee.
propose to?
Well, we said an HR committee will be set up, and then we use the wording here. Not all deliberations need to be confidential, and only confidential individual matters needed the automatic exclusion of all but committee members.
So I think, Martin, this is based on the tradition that the HR committee would always be in confidence in terms of its meetings because of the nature, but as a result, there's a lack of transparency when an amount of its business can be done in the open.
And may I make a suggestion? In 316, councillors other than the committee members may attend meetings. I would say the town councillors.
I agree.
Sorry, town council.
Yes.
Town councillors, be very specific,
Yeah.
because there are people who legitimately come to us for certain business but are not town councillors.
No.
Okay?
But they're councillors.
Exactly. I didn't work with the faculty before for nothing.
So you did say in the legend here that text in red was not finalised.
Yes. So if you
And
put
so if we go back to that
317,
316, just before 317 there was some red text, yeah. 314.
yes, this is this one where, and I think this was a concern, particularly you, Martin, but when should we elect a chair for a committee? Because understandably, the whole council may say, yes, Fred Bloggs is going to be the chair of the committee, but the actual committee may say, well, actually we prefer Jane Smith.
Yeah.
My idea after looking at this was that we could decide, particularly in an election year, to nominate members of the committees, and then the members could propose a chair, and that would then go back to full council.
Yeah.
On a year-to-year basis, when it's not an election year, the tendency will be simply to roll over the existing structures. So they could be appointed at the annual meeting. It's sensitive in the sense that if you are going to say all committee chairs are going to be in the HR committee, which wasn't actually the system where I was before, if you're going to say that, then it kind of prejudges who becomes a committee chair.
So would it be good practice that each year, following the annual town meeting, that when the committees meet for the first time after that, which areas we so rolling over, I don't think it's necessarily best practice. I would have thought get the opportunity just to refresh and either reinstate or appoint somebody else might be a good practice.
I think so, because I think somebody having served for 12 months on a committee might decide that it's really not for them and they might want to stand down. And, you know, I think it's an opportunity once a year to say, you know, I don't want to carry this on to the next 12 months.
It's my understanding that the appointments only run until the next annual meeting of the council, so there isn't actually a rollover. There is no automatic rollover. The appointments end at the...
Custom and practice,
I think it's actually probably in some NELT documents, but I can't put my hands on them at the moment.
So that means like we did this year, we went through who wants to be on individual committees. In theory, you become a chair saying, I don't want to be on this committee. So therefore, you've got to have. So I think in terms of the process, it is what we're saying. It's for a 12-month period, then review who are the members go away, and then elect a chair.
That's another aspect. When I was co-opted, I was basically just it's not.
Yes,
and that was your payback.
Yes, there have been issues about the way committees have been selected, and we've got to deal with it. Could I make a suggestion then, and just say, just delete the first part, so it just goes straight through. Committee members will elect a chair and vice chair of their respective committees.
Yes.
That takes the whole thing out. And I don't know why it needs to go back to council, because
it would do, because in terms of governance, so what you're saying, you don't go on, you delegate it down to the committee to collectively decide, then they need to come back and say, we have decided,
and it's going to be James Smith.
And just in the trail, you've got that audit trail of return and confirmation, in my opinion.
What? Well, you then have to think of what happens when the council doesn't like James Smith, and wants.
Sorry, in my view, it wouldn't be for discussion. We have taken away, we've got the chair, this needs to be recorded.
What's this?
I can't do the last window. I found my little card.
Right. So we're saying committee members will elect a chair and vice chair of their respective committee, who shall hold office until the next annual town council meeting, unless a motion is passed at full council to remove them. Yeah?
Or each shall hold office until the next,
Yeah.
as opposed to the who just
Have
doesn't
we been,
work.
sorry, have we been electing vice chairs? Sorry, if we have,
If we-
it's that.
No, we haven't. At least not any committees that I know of, but it gives the flexibility. Sorry, Christine, you wanted to say something?
In electing the committee chairs, I think it could help for it to be explicit that they will, in electing a committee chair, you are also electing a committee member for the HR committee.
I would not put it in here because we haven't really determined, or the
That
council
is how it
not
works.
determined.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
And I think that's a point that they need to
Yes.
finalise.
Separate
So
exercise.
that's why I think we won't have a final document until the day after the council meeting on the 30th of this month. Hopefully, if we're
Right.
we can make that. We can make a note of that point.
Yeah.
I'll take a note of that and put it in the minutes so we don't forget.
Yeah, I had actually forgotten that the whole HR committee idea is being reviewed.
Yes.
So, but if it were to continue along similar lines as at present, it's just about making it explicit. That was all.
Yes. Okay. No, that's a very valuable point, but I think we can't put it in just at the moment.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you. Moving on.
So incidentally, I do think it's a good idea to have vice chairs.
Yeah, that's, having seen that, I'd agree with Martin.
Okay. I've not been on it.
No, you haven't. All right.
Right. Moving on. And we've added town councillors under 316. Thank you very much. 316 is explicit. Okay. Thank you. Moving
So
on.
the 317, should we say there the committee with responsibility for HR matters
Yes.
shall have a clear membership and clear responsibilities? Is that?
Yes. Well, yes, we should have. That's the one that's in the most. Well, we don't know what it does, do we? Or rather, we haven't in the past. So, in that case, you need to put a definite article at the start of 317, the committee, with responsibility to have clear membership and clear.
So what is the problem we're trying to solve here? Because surely all committees should have clear membership
Exactly.
areas, but I'm trying to see why we're trying to exaggerate this particular point.
Well, I think you were kind of leading into the need for some of the information to be confidential and other
Yes.
parts of it not to be confidential.
Because in the past there's just been a blanket, can't talk about it, it's confidential. Well, rating structures are not confidential.
Yeah. So it's really all about the remit and delegated power of the committee. That's where, you know, what information should be approved by full council and or what decision should be approved by full council and what the empowered HR committee would have.
Right.
Right. So
Would it be sensible to put after clear responsibility, open brackets, and then carry it right on to the end, but that makes it clear this is what we're thinking, but obviously it can then easily be deleted.
So, my just an alternative suggestion.
Yeah.
Against 3.15, we talk about committees, and that in effect is almost the first sentence further down. So empower, take decisions, da 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 da. Why don't we then extend that particular paragraph to include specific reference to HR and the bits that are relevant to the confidential versus non-confidential.
Your suggestion, I think, where it is 3.1, yeah, 5. You add the first sentence of 317 to it?
No, so what you do is committees are empowered to take decisions defined in the relevant, so that just applies for HR as well.
Yes.
So you then go on to say, for the committee with responsibility for HR matters, you then need to make reference to the fact that it's not all in confidence.
Right, well that takes a bit of wordsmithing.
Yes.
Do we want to do it just now?
No. Shall I?
Would you want to
my son's,
pick that up?
So I'll look at 3.15.
Okay. Right. Are we content with Emmett doing that for us?
If not, that's fine.
Shut up. Peter,
Are you okay?
I'm happy with that. Yes, yes. Peter, I suggest leave it in and then let
Yes.
Emmett do the wordsmithing.
Yeah, so what I've done
Oh, yes.
is I've
Yes.
moved it up there and I've
Yeah.
put the first sentence in for the committee with responsibilities
Yes.
for HR matters, and I've just put a note
Yeah.
to say EC to provide drafting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you. Oh, fairly cracking on. Only another hour and a half to go. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun?
Okay.
I wouldn't know.
Right, so 314 we've dealt with as well.
And therefore 317
Yeah,
falls.
comes out.
It's very useful to be able to do it on the big screen, isn't it?
It is. I think we should do a lot of that. This is a big screen, to be honest.
Yes, that's another matter. Right.
Make sure their IT program
Kicking and dragged into
provides suitable compatibility equipment.
dragged into the 21st century.
Well, I have plenty of the bit.
Right.
3.4, that's the
Right,
next change.
3.4 is the appointment of non-councillors to committees, and there was some red text here. In version 8, did we want to delete this, retain it here, or incorporate it in public participation? 515, proposals from members of the public.
Yeah. I think, Christine, you had raised this because we were getting various things coming through the system, but also there could be in the public participation section, the physical public participation, that somebody might have some proposals and you might want to incorporate them into even though just even for the meeting. We've been very flexible as a working group to bring in individuals as required.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that committees are quite that flexible yet. And they're limited to 3 persons, which is why the big hoo-ha about the tourism committee. It was going to be so many councillors and only 3 non-councillors.
Yeah.
And I think that's something the council has to debate. Do they want committees to be as inflexible as at present? Because I don't think now requires them to be quite so inflexible. But it is, I think a custom and practice has grown up that they're top heavy with councillors and are fairly inflexible. I don't know.
Well, I'll just have in mind the rules about quorum, where it says you need a minimum of 3 councillors.
I do. And if you run just with 3 councillors, then you really do run the risk of the meeting not being able to go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, planning has 3.
3, yeah.
Colin,
Christine. Yeah. Christine?
The current terms of reference are 5 councillors for a committee, aren't they?
Minimum of 5.
Yes,
But
for
we can go up to maximum 7, can't we?
it's in the terms of reference.
For each committee?
It's actually spelled out. Yes, it is. And also for the in the working groups, that's 3 in the working groups, but 5 for the others.
The committees and subcommittees.
I'm not sure that we've got subcommittees spelled out, but committees I'm sure are 5 and working groups 3 at the moment. And when you move on to the terms of reference, that will be the time to make sure that what you've got there marries up with the standing orders.
I think it would be useful if we could put a table in which said, full council,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
committee,
Yes.
a subcommittee, a
Okay,
working
but
group.
Make it as an appendix.
We can put
It
it
could be
in
in there,
here.
yeah.
We can put it in here. The number of councillors.
Yes, for quorum.
Yeah, or maximum number or number of councillors between 5 and
Yeah,
9 or
yeah,
7 and
yeah.
9. Number of public or outside of maximum number of up to
Yeah.
3 or up to 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
We
That's a
think,
very good
and
idea.
because that then is a simple chart or a
Yeah.
table that we can put to
Yeah.
council and to say to council, are we happy with it?
Yeah.
Because I was just going to, I think the Finance and General Purposes Committee has about 9 members,
It
isn't
does.
it?
In
Quite
theory
strong,
it
yeah.
has 9, it currently has 8.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's a,
I checked.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So, do you think we should do that? Put a table
I think
in
that's a very
for
good idea.
discussion with.
And I would include the quorum as well, Peter, because again, it then means it's very clear about when it operates, how many need to be in the room.
Quora and non-councillors.
Yeah.
Or non-STC councillors.
Yes.
We need to be very careful about what we call a councillor. Mm-hmm. I think that looking at 3.4, I think that comes into the terms of reference for the committee, which we're not covering today.
Yes, so good point just made. It's councillors with voting rights, Peter, might be worth making it very clear on that, because other councillors can attend.
Or just Sandwich Town Council councillors.
Yeah, but
Oh, yes, I see. Yes, yes.
a town councillor can attend, but we
Whereas
also
not
have
public.
votes. Yeah.
That's right.
So I think it's
Okay.
about saying the members that have voting rights is very clear, because of
Yeah.
course non-councillors don't have voting rights.
Okay, Christine?
I have actually the terms of reference up on my tablet. Yes, it's 9 members, 5 for the quorum, and it is voting members are the ones that count, because any councillor who is not a committee member can attend, but they don't have voting rights.
That's right. Right. Okay, you're going to put it in there, then that's fine. Yep, that's useful. Okay.
So
In the second column, if it could be possibly in brackets with voting rights.
30, yes, that's important.
okay, so we've got the town council.
Which is
16. Yes.
16.
Quorum is 9, isn't it?
9.
Non-councillors is nil.
Yeah.
A committee,
Is up to 9, councillor.
well, did
It
we
actually-
say 7 to 9 or something?
It actually states it as being 9 at the
Yeah, okay.
moment. It is 9, and so we're one short on one of the
Yeah.
committees.
Quorum was 5, is it?
5.
And non-council, I think it's 3.
3.
Up to 3,
Yeah, up to 3, yes, that's better to wait it's right.
yeah, subcommittee.
Well, what's the subcommittee?
Yeah,
Is that the HR?
Subcommittee or working group?
I would distinguish working groups from subcommittees because we're much more flexible. We may, we have provision for
Just in
that.
case, yeah.
So
yeah.
working group is 5, isn't it?
Working group is 5, so shall we say 7 on the subcommittee then?
We'd be guessing, we'd just be making it up. I'm not sure that.
Well, I've just put in the header above for agreement by Sandwich Town.
Yeah.
Proposal. Yeah.
It still seems a heavy working
It does.
subcommittee.
It does. I think it's 5.
I think it's too high myself.
Yeah.
That's just under half the council.
Yeah, I think it's 5 for you to.
Okay.
And
Say
what-
5, 5, that's probably 5.
What would be-
Quorum would be 3.
What would be the difference between a working group and a
That's a
subcommittee?
good question.
Complete flexibility.
No, a working group has a shorter mandate.
It does.
Ah, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And we have fewer rules about
Yeah.
procedure and everything else like that.
You can wear.
And you could read. Dress code, huh? Thank you. That's almost as bad as
Do
mine.
I-
It's like, that's what I got here.
Sorry, should I put for non-councillors that they've got no voting rights?
Yes.
Correct.
I'm
Um,
not sure about the working group.
So,
In what sense?
The working group quorum, I think, can be 2 councillors and 1. I really would need to
you're
check
right, it
the.
could be 2 councillors.
2 councillors plus 1
Voting.
co-opted member. And does that co-opted member have voting rights? I think they might do.
have.
I think they do in a working group, which is where I think it's different. But I haven't got those.
Anyway,
terms of
Can we
reference and
clarify
content.
that outside the meeting because, but I think that's a very useful way to do it, Peter.
So at subcommittee again up to 3 co-optees.
I would have thought so. I mean, it's up to the council to decide. This is our recommendation, isn't it?
Okay, so if we put three question mark.
And then for working group, I think you are right, Christina. I think it says 2, minimum of 2. The quorum, though, by that definition is what?
No, the quorum, believe, I'd love to get it up, but I believe that for working groups, the quorum can include a member who is not a councillor. I'm pretty sure of it. We just need to check that.
We need to.
Okay, well, just for the time being, I'll just put it in the box there, 2 councillors and 1 non-councillor
Mm.
as the quorum.
Or 3 councillors, yeah.
Yeah.
But it has to be a non-councillor that is a member, not just any non-councillor like
Yeah. Put
myself.
off the street.
Like me, I don't count.
No, we didn't put you off the street.
Or a co-opted, should I put a co-opted member?
A co-opted member, yes.
And co-opted member. That's fine. You've got 2 hands.
That wouldn't surprise me.
One common figure. But yeah, that's fine. And then the non-councillor voting rights. I don't think that's defined. Why don't we just say up to, well, if it's a working group, why don't we have up to 5? I don't see why we.
Well, why don't we just have at the chair's discretion?
Chair's discretion.
I think working groups were supposed to work towards a consensus.
Yes.
To work towards a consensus is what I believe the wording was. So I'm not sure that voting as such was deemed a feature of a working group.
But we need to have that as, if push ever becomes shove.
Yes.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
Sorry, I've just been sidetracked looking at the terms of reference for the IT and digital communications. The quorum of the working group shall be 3 elected members. With, with co-opted members not counted towards a quorum. I did draw that from the previous standing orders, or the current standing orders. So I didn't make that up myself. I've drawn it from elsewhere. So that's what's currently on.
And how many co-opted members do you have?
One.
Well,
Who doesn't vote?
who doesn't vote? Well, I think we. What? Can you say something like this? Is this 2 or 4? The quorum is 3, which could be 3 councillors or 2 councillors and a co-opted member.
I think we've now got into the area where we had generic terms of reference for working groups, but now we're moving towards specific terms of reference. So we've got a possibility that different working groups might actually already have devised slightly different variants.
Which is perfectly adequate. I mean, if it's a very technical group, that you may want to have more people, you know, some of the IT group or something like, you know, waterways or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you may want a lot more external expertise.
Yes.
So perhaps we need a reference to actually refer to the individual working groups' terms of reference.
Well, we've left it flexible for 3 or 2 and 1. Believe me, the looser you keep it, the better.
I'm okay with
I'm happy with that.
I mean, that is drafted.
Yeah.
Excellent.
File save.
Next one. Withdraw my comment about a cracking arm.
We got slightly caught in the treacle there, didn't we?
Right. Yes, I asked this question here in 411, purely for a layperson looking at the standing orders would say, the first thing is notice of meetings, and you refer me then straight to another section of the standing orders. I'm just trying to think, you know, do we seem an awfully bureaucratic organisation, or are we an organisation that is pretty flexible and recognises that people are not going to plough, or not wish to plough through vast reams of paper? I mean, we don't have to have the use of the statutory word, we could just say, in essence,
i.e. a minimum of 3 days.
minimum 3.
The notice of meeting shall be as given in i.e. a minimum of 3 days or something.
Well, I think we have to still say 232, that's the definitive
Yes.
legal wording.
Yes.
But then just say, i.e. 3 working days, a minimum of 3 working days.
Do we anywhere specify what working days are working
Yes.
days? That's fine.
Yes, it's specified in 232.
I should have realised you read this.
And that's before I've resorted to strong drink. Right. Okay, so the next good statutory, thank you. Blah, 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 blah.
Working groups, I'm keeping those green text in there where you've talked about the other committees and working groups.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, where are you?
I'm just there on E and G.
Did we decide anything about 413?
No, we're moving on to that now.
We haven't got the form, I don't think yet, it's very, but are we content to include working
Yes.
groups?
I think so.
Yeah, we're not, sorry, 413. No, you're correct, sorry, you're correct, Mark, we did go past it. We did debate whether this is the right place, but it does follow on from the fact that you can, there's a legal right for people to record a whole meeting. What happened there?
It's just my power legal.
Oh,
Would anyone like water? I can get you water.
That's very kind.
Yeah.
That would be lovely.
Is that a yes for
Hey, yes, yes.
No drinking in the meeting when you're allowed.
Well, this was brought in special.
Reminds me of Aaron
Contents.
Brockovich.
The contents of this flask will not be revealed.
Sorry, on this 413 then, are we happy with this or?
Yes.
well, it seems, I just thought it was,
That's very good, thank you. I'm okay, thanks.
what did I say?
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Looking at your,
So,
I did say something.
you did
about
say
it.
something, and I'm just trying to pull up the email.
so
Well, firstly, I don't think it's very clear. What it means is that councillors, on taking office, accept
yes,
that their presence will be recorded.
broadcast and published, I think is a key point.
But I think
So,
it was, I think it was suggested putting it somewhere else.
I'll see.
may not be provided, may not.
Right. Well,
Well,
I understand your point. It's not strictly necessary because the legal position is quite clear, isn't it? There is a legal right for members of the public to record and broadcast, and that's in the legislation. So technically we don't require it, but this was
yeah,
more.
but any member of the public can ask not to appear on camera, can't they?
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
People who are, personally, I just think it's good practice to aim at the council. But
Yes.
someone could stand at the back of the room and video the whole room. There's nothing to stop them doing that. But then other members of the public are still fairly anonymous, unless they say what their
Yes.
name is or disclose something personal about them. And so it's not likely to happen. But it does often happen in meetings that people do video a whole meeting. I've been to several meetings where that's happened, and it was at the Richborough meeting as well. People were doing it there. That's not illegal. That's perfectly fine.
Mm. Because this is specifically about councillors acknowledge. Why did we must have put it in for a reason. Because did we say that
Is that from the old?
There is a statutory piece within the templates, within the NALC template and so forth, which is in bold, which is really, it is simply spells out that the public are allowed to do it. So
which
that,
is 412?
yeah,
And I'm just thinking, what does 413 add that 412 misses? Because actually 412 is saying
Should we delete it?
I don't think it adds anything.
No.
But
no, delete it. I
Please delete it, yeah.
I think when we signed up as councillors, we, on the acceptance form, I seem to remember there was something about meetings being recorded on that acceptance form.
Right.
Check with the town clerk.
Could I interrupt for just a moment, interrupt the flow? I've actually just received 3 emails from the town clerk in response to my questions. But the important one is, she said, in answer to your question, if this can be included on the June agenda, July surely agenda, I think it's just a typo. I do hope so. I have started looking at the agenda items, but I think this is important to get agreed as soon as possible. So she's going to do her best to get it on the July agenda.
Okay.
That's the first one. Right. Then the other one, I think we need to look in a little bit more detail. We'll give ourselves the last 20 minutes to look at the detail rather than interrupt the flow too much.
Okay.
If you're content with that, folks?
Okay.
Right, let's move on. Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to find your email, but these have popped up.
Okay, so the next one that I've got is 4.3. We had those working group ones I've talked about. 4.3.7.
Yes. I've just closed down. She's actually got. I think she's got a response to that. The town clerk has. 437. She says your suggested text is suitable, but there are no plans for electronic signatures at this time. So the text is suitable, which was the point I think we were making. That how on earth could we vote for something unless we knew the final wording? And that's why I added by clear resolution at the meeting.
Yes.
And I think a number of us had that concern, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did she say?
She said that this text
I think she
was
said
okay.
the wording, your suggested text is suitable, but there are no plans for electronic signatures at this time. So the thing in green, I think we just delete.
Yeah.
We delete all of that there.
Yes,
And that becomes just
yeah,
what's left. Yeah.
that's fine. And that clears up this whole thing about. I know some of us were very unhappy about agreeing meetings without hearing the exact wording. Okay. Right. By the way, going back to 411, which we discussed a few minutes ago, which we put a simple thing. She says, yes, I think we should repeat elements of section 2.3 for reader clarity. So she's happy
With that.
Yeah, that's fine. Great. Okay, we'll come back to the next bits. They're in correct numerical order. Okay. How we doing?
438.
438.
STC extra ministry format. It should include a summary record of public participation.
Yeah, so this point here was raised at the meeting of the 15th of June, and it's a point I think you've made on a number of occasions, Emmett, about an action list and so forth at the end, and the town clerk said last time that we didn't need to vote on it because we were reinstating what was already kind of the practice that had kind of fallen by the wayside. So, the point here is that the minutes shall include a summary record of the public participation at a meeting, and then the question is, should it go on to say, and, an action point list?
I would suggest that would need to be 439, because I wouldn't want to mix up
No, you're right.
438 and 439.
Yep.
Again, no, I didn't ask her that question, so therefore I don't have an answer about it. Right.
So I think we've had enough discussion around the need for visible actions being tracked from meeting to meeting.
Yes.
And as Peter rightly says, we didn't need to vote on it because it is the expected practice. So, but I think it must be stated in there.
Yeah.
So it becomes the standard rather than the exception.
We appreciate at the moment the pressure of work is you raised some, I think, at the Heritage Week.
And as I said, I'll keep on doing it whilst.
And I raised
Yeah.
some at the full
Yeah.
town council
Yeah.
meeting because a few things seem to have just
Yeah.
disappeared into
Yeah.
ether. Okay. So it's 437, right, and it's renumbering it, that's good. How do you manage that? I can never get the blaster thing to renumber.
It's a trade secret. So what I've put in, minutes shall include an action list which shall be tracked under matters arising at the following meeting.
Yes.
Yes,
And we'll make it matters rather than maters.
Yeah.
It's
very good.
He says, did you study Latin?
That's his alma mater.
Oh dear. Oh dear me.
Moving on.
As I said a while ago, don't give up the stage on Peter, please. Right, moving on.
We're doing 11:35. I agree.
Right. Moving on. 443.
Committee shall not record unless 3 or more councillors who voted right.
Yes. Well, it's redundant.
But it's redundant.
Meeting is or
Because it says
Yes.
a meeting.
Yeah.
It doesn't specify what kind of meeting.
Yeah.
Content to delete?
Delete.
Delete
Yeah.
443.
443.
Because it is an official meeting.
Okay.
Next one.
No condition. Well, this was if to prevent the meeting becoming inquadrate. Yeah.
So 5.
Public, this is on. Right. We do have a long response from Jill. Right. Shall I
Yes.
read her response? I mean, I think as a sort of shabby compromise, we suggested 5 minutes up to 4 speakers.
Yeah.
And you said, well, why are we restricting it?
Well, what I was thinking, I didn't remember. I mean, I thought we agreed the 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My point was, if you can fit 5 speakers in 20 minutes, why not?
That's true. I mean, not everybody will need 5 minutes.
The issue, I suppose, is managing numbers before you get into the session itself. So if you're saying to somebody you can have 5 minutes, it's the pipeline, isn't it? You know, if you say, well, actually, if you keep yours down to 3 minutes, I can squeeze somebody out. It just might be unmanageable.
Right. Basically, Jill has said, I don't think you should use the word normally, as this infers you will permit additional speakers under certain circumstances, and this is open for interpretation. the more time you give to public participation, the less time you have for council business.
Yeah.
And if you don't limit the number of public speakers, you could be faced with a meeting that runs past 10 p.m. or you have to abandon and continue at a later date. She says, I have ideas for increased community engagement so residents do not feel that they have to wait for an STC meeting each month. I think you need to clarify how and when the requests to speak are given and to whom. I thought we had done so, but she maybe hasn't seen the very latest version.
So what do we say now?
We're on section 5. Section 5.
Sorry, I'll explain myself in a moment.
It's
513.
Yeah.
I would have to
We
see
put
what-
5 minutes on each subject.
Yeah.
There.
Sorry, Martin, you wanted to make a point.
This is by the by. I would love to see the presentation that she apparently gave at her interview relating to communication and public participation.
Okay, that's
But that's fine.
Well, let me put a note there. Could we see?
Because I suspect what she's referring to in that email was in fact what she had suggested.
Yes.
There were various things like surgeries and
Yes.
Which we had suggested as well, hadn't we?
I've got a draft communications plan.
Okay. I've taken note of that for the minutes. So,
Yeah.
what do we want to say about section 5?
So,
sorry. I'm just looking at section 611,
yeah.
which is motions in respect, which may be moved without written notice, because do you remember kind of reading that you can put forward a motion to increase, a councillor can propose to put forward a motion to allow public or anybody to speak for longer, which would have been quite pertinent at the last meeting with those people from Woodnesborough about the parking.
It's not there, I can't see it.
No. Does this require?
It's Q, extend the time limits for speaking.
Okay. Should we?
Well, doesn't it say somewhere? Well, yes, okay.
But could I suggest we
So
are a bit
that-
more
that's-
specific in that and say extend the time limits for
For public
public
speaking.
participation speaking? Otherwise, it could be.
But I thought not somewhere it said
Yes, it's not for speaking.
that councillors should not speak.
Council should only speak
Yes, stopwatch.
That happens to me. Well,
something else. It doesn't work. In my experience, it doesn't work to do one bite of the cherry.
well,
That's daft.
I think some people are are more skilled at public speaking
Yes.
and making saying what they need to
Yeah.
say.
Okay. Peter, what have you made?
So I haven't made, so extend the time limits for the public or councillors speaking. For public.
It's public
Public
participation.
participation. Let's keep it just to that, because otherwise we're opening floodgates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Names on the postcard. Yes, that. Okay, I'll refer then at 61Q. We'll refer that to Jill, yes?
Just needs to be public participation.
Yeah,
Doesn't need speaking.
no.
No, that's what I put, so, sorry, that's,
Right.
sorry for taking you on that diversion.
Right, so what do you say?
So in these clauses here, what we've basically said in 513,
Yep.
is that they're 5 minutes each.
Yeah.
And then what we've said in 513C, up to 4 people, the time shall not exceed 20 minutes and up to 4 persons will normally be requested to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she also made the point about you have to have a strict order system of, you know, first come or first applicant gets heard first, and
That was Jill.
that was Jill's.
Yeah.
Did you say that you've been in a council where they do a similar thing? What did they do at first?
Well, excuse
No,
me.
She said
they did it like that. I was suggesting that maybe
Well, can I
we
say-
should
just
put
re-
in the chairs as possible, or the chairs.
If you look at the spreadsheet of the meeting of the 22nd of June up against 513, there was a question of how to prioritise speakers, and we kind of said residents, matters which, firstly residents, and matters which the council had directly control of, other matters relevant to the council business, and other matters of wider relevance like climate control and climate change.
well, we have the wording there, don't we? Because we did discuss that at length. We were concerned that someone like, you know, a climate emergency might want to come and dominate the whole meeting when we've got residents concerned about the bus or whatever, and getting the balance.
That's a strange choice. Betshanger Park was
Yes.
a neighbouring issue
Yes.
and got airtime here, so
Yeah.
it's that situation, isn't it?
Right. But the question, I guess, in strict being heard first. So do we want to add to C
The priority, order of
priority,
priority.
and then just pick up what we've got here, which is residents, council direct, and the 4 bullet points we've got from the meeting of the 22nd of June.
I think that's helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
How does that sit with the previous statement, which is first come, first served?
And where you have a conflict, I think.
Let's see how it reads. So I'm just thinking.
Okay. Well, you have to say a strict order, either with the earliest request received, unless,
So if I'm the last request received, but I'm the only one talking about, and I'm a resident about a specific issue that the town council can administer.
or,
Yeah.
that's what.
I do, based on the wording there, do I jump to the top of the list because it doesn't
Yes.
necessarily
Yes.
say that to me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
It's just maybe a slight wordsmith needed.
okay.
There's a conflict there, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, there always will be that conflict, I think, won't there? Because again, if you get someone who's passionate about, you know, climate emergency, they'll want. Christine, yes, sorry, Christine, yes.
Quite often I see that some wording being on matters that are to be discussed on the agenda or to be discussed that evening. So let's say the agenda's been published and residents are told they've got the opportunity to request to speak on matters relating to the agenda that has actually been published. So whatever items are on there, I personally would think that would be one of the priorities because it's relevant to that specific meeting as opposed to something more generalised. And that is that resident's opportunity to have their views taken into consideration in any subsequent decision making that may occur in that meeting.
Would the solution then be to put a second bullet point on residents, then secondly, matters arising in the meeting.
Related to
Related-
items on the
related to
relating
this
to
meeting.
items on the agenda of
Yeah.
the meeting in question.
Yeah. Excuse me.
So I'm just wondering, is it simply the ordering of that paragraph? Because the first stage surely is that it's not first come first served. The first stage is making sure it's assessing where you sit within the priority list, and then after that,
Yes, you could be right.
then it's first come first served. So as long as you tick the boxes in terms of the criteria, you then are included in the list of who might speak. And if you're number one, you get included.
So,
Well,
order,
we're going to have an awful lot of people who might turn up at the council meeting
Possibly.
thinking they're going to speak.
If only we were that popular.
well, for certain things, I mean, how many people turned up about
Yeah.
Woodensborough Road?
Yes.
Only one person
I know.
opted to speak.
Yeah, there was
But-
five. Yeah.
Well, well, it was scheduled to.
So the order of priority shall be residents, and then I'll put my little 0 in there, because I've pasted it in. It needs to
Yeah,
be-
I bet Jill will say this is a look.
Matters related to agenda items,
It
and I think
relates to
Yeah.
a problem within the system.
matters to which the council has direct control over, other matters of wider relevance, and
I
then
would, yes.
speakers, and then anything else with the earliest request.
Being heard first. With the, yeah.
So I think this still needs a bit more consideration, because you're right, Martin, because we have gone to this situation where ideally we'll know about what they want to talk about well in advance and might even get papers, but we're saying that actually up to the start of the meeting somebody can ask to speak. Yeah? If the town clerk is confronted with 5 people coming through the door wanting to speak, she has to, in theory, assess whether it fits any of those categories, and then she needs to think about the order that the person's come to her, and that's all very difficult to do
It
directly
is.
before a meeting.
It is, but you have to ask how likely is it that this will be occurring on every occasion. And I think this is the balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we've tried to meet her requests without saying no. It's an absolute limit of 4 speakers.
I'll let you just deliberate on that for a moment and then take a break.
Yeah.
No, I thought we had that.
We have normally 4.
Yeah.
So up to 4 of us will normally. She preferred deletion of the word normally. I think we've got to
I can
I can understand that, but
There is another paragraph just starting at the bottom that relates to not business, and I'm not sure if that's the case.
kind of our system.
5.15, which just starts off, talks about
Oh,
not related items of business on the agenda. I don't know what
I think we've covered that now by putting
Yes.
the 5 bullet points in under C.
Yeah.
So maybe we can delete that. Thank you for that. Oh. I thought it was actually ceased, but what is it now? Square almost.
By tomorrow,
By tomorrow.
and I was supposed to be there, but he was coming. He said the work should finish by tomorrow because next week is the handover week.
Right.
So apart from the snagging, they should have
Yeah.
done it.
Yeah, okay.
We got to A. What's it A? I hope I don't.
Sorry? You don't touch it with your feet. No.
Playing with fire.
Ooh, I would, a braver man than I.
Well,
No.
I just want to see what's at A
Request being made.
above there.
Yeah.
I can't recall whether we decided that somebody can turn up at the moment, or we expect them in advance before we've gone.
We said, well, ahead of the start time of that meeting. So it says,
Oh, it does, yes.
an emphasis there. Right. Okay, are we content?
So, should we just reflect on it? The total coming out will not exceed 20 minutes, except at the discretion of the chair. That's completely fine. Up to 4 we're normally allowed to speak during the public participation session. Order of priority shall be residents' houses. Okay.
Okay, content?
Yeah.
Now,
Right, okay. D, yes, that stays.
Yep.
The better time alarm system is a particular bee in my body, but it's not necessary for the
Standing orders.
standing orders. But I will put it in the minutes.
Yes.
You don't want to put something, the town clerk shall be responsible for monitoring the time.
Christine?
I think some sort of warning system would be really valuable, because when you're standing at the front reading your piece,
Yes.
you don't know what the
No,
exact
no.
time is. There's nothing in this room to give you any indication at all whether you're running on schedule or running a little bit slow.
Yeah, well, I've spoken at conferences where you have a green light to
Yes.
speak and then an
Perfect.
amber light which
Which
comes
is
on
minute
to a
or-
minute before you're due
Yeah.
to.
That's what's needed. It needs
Yeah.
some form of warning, and it could be as simple as perhaps the town clerk having the 3 cards.
Three
Well,
cards.
say you've got the green card, the yellow, and the red,
Yeah.
and so when it comes to 1 minute left, up goes the yellow, and then time over, up goes the red.
Although
And
typically, the person who speaks faces that way,
Yeah.
and the town clerk is behind.
We can
them.
overcome.
Yeah.
We can overcome.
But anyone could.
I think
Be given
at
that.
the moment, a semaphore signal before
A cough.
a semaphore signal, yes. Signal off, yes, off or on.
But you need something, don't you?
You do.
Because it's
So
very
we-
difficult.
We retain it at the moment, and this is just a reminder, but this is just to remind the council. Okay, proper alarm system, so that should be under 513. Still 513, yes.
That's a no, it's minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
no.
DN. As opposed to a DQ.
So who's going to come up with DM?
DN.
DM.
Drafter's note.
All right.
No. Okay. What's a DQ then?
Drafter's question.
Ah. Used to be but not DQs.
Okay.
Right out.
The
Moving
next one, 514.
Yep. What do I say?
Yep.
This may necessitate an adjustment to 513C above.
That's 513.
I mean, that was a clarifying sentence we put in. Why don't we retain it?
Retain 514.
514, yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yes.
just retain it. Okay.
I mean, it-
So
it
this
fits
text
in
at the
and-
blue at the end, this may necessitate an adjustment of, I can delete that.
I think it can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's this note 515,
Delete.
which has come from Westgate. Questions not related to items of business on the agenda for meeting shall only be accepted from members of the public during the public participation.
We do it certain. Have we not covered it already in 513?
I think by putting our priorities.
Yes, I think we've covered that. So if you could delete that.
So the only thing that I would flag up, unless it comes elsewhere, Ian, as you've lived and breathed it, you'd be able to say it is.
Yeah.
participation at the moment is one way.
Yes.
This is about making sure that where relevant, ownership for some of these issues is taken by the council, for example. So it's about that interaction that
Yes.
isn't there at the moment.
Well, which is 5111 in part.
Right, yes.
5111 in part.
Yeah, I think it could be exposed. Or bring
Fine, no, fine.
We'll come on to that now.
You may be invited to speak during the agenda. Are we content with 513? 515 rather. 515?
There's a public, maybe invited to speak.
Yes, that was just a renumbering started there. and then-
Okay.
Pressure.
But
So
I
it's
think
517 as it is now.
Councillor,
We've had that
we've
elsewhere.
deleted, I
didn't
think,
we?
delete 517, I think, yeah. And let's not get into the minefield as to whether speakers want to be recorded or not.
What does tend to happen in town hall, doesn't she?
She does, because,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, that's
Yeah.
517.
7 now.
And then the next point
Is the
is
point.
the one that you would
Yeah.
trying to make.
7, yes, and then 518 is the chair will say what the council's going to do and may allocate it to a councillor or
Yeah,
officer.
happy with that.
And 519 now, surely we should be able to ask questions of any speaker.
Well, if you want to keep it to 20 minutes.
Yeah, my view is not. If 518 is adhered to, then that might lead to. So what that's giving is ownership. It is a two-way engagement. I'm not sure that's it's 20 minutes.
Okay,
And some people will be happy to stand up, or will be happy to have questions.
what's the consensus? Delete 519?
Yeah.
Delete. Right. Okay, thank you.
I mean, for me, the important thing is that for every speaker we decide
Yeah. How we're going to.
how we're going to treat the point that
Yeah.
we're making.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that will normally, if further clarification is required, that
Yeah.
will be part of the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Okay, we're now on 611.
Yeah, sorry, this A, so motions in respect may be moved without notice to the proper officer to appoint a person to preside at the meeting. I thought that conflicted with 461. So that's saying that you can put forward a motion for somebody to preside. And if we go back to
But we already decided on a chair
Got
for,
a chair, yes.
for each meeting.
461, at every meeting, the first item
Yeah,
of
okay.
business shall be to elect a chair
Yeah.
for the meeting with both the chair and...
Yeah, I think it's now redundant.
But what it says here, substitute committee members shall not be permitted to act as chair. That was the point that I
But a
was...
substitute,
So, at every meeting shall be to elect a chair for the meeting with both the chair and
Not
vice
every
chair
meeting.
are absent.
But don't have a problem with that.
well, what's the
It's
substitute?
substitute. No, it's if a regular member of a committee is unable to attend,
They may request.
they may nominate a
Okay.
clerk, a substitute, but that substitute is not
It's not permitted to chair the meeting.
a regular member, so it would not be appropriate, really.
Yes, that was my understanding, that you can ask for a substitute if you know you're not going to be there, but the substitute cannot be the chair.
So,
I just find it a little bit confusing there. Just got a bit of a mental blockage on it. Help me.
yeah, I'm confused. Christina's going to sort it for us now.
I think it's where the chair is absent, so the committee
Yeah.
has to decide who's the standing chair, and in that situation, the substitute would not be eligible. That's the way I understood
So,
it.
and I'm struggling as well, Peter, because I think we don't elect a chair for every meeting. We have a chair. Is this absence of the chair from the meeting?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, so
So what's at 4.5 above the meeting, just to make sure whether there's any linkage? That's now. Voting.
I was
Oh, no,
voting.
it's totally separate then. So is it not absence of
it's
chair?
related to absence.
Yeah.
Okay, at every meeting in the absence.
No.
No.
Where the chair
No.
is absent.
When the chair is absent.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
the whole
meeting
point.
where,
Yeah.
When the appointed chair is absent.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's more precise.
It's about like yourself and the bus experience this morning. If you weren't here, we would have
and
to
then delete
consider.
that every meeting.
But instead you've got a time to forget. I hope stagecoach works this.
Yeah, I think that's much better.
Yeah, that makes it a lot clearer. Yes, Peter?
Oh, does it?
Well, we're going to.
Because it goes on if both chair and vice chair.
That's okay.
Because if you've got a vice chair, they're automatically the chair.
Yeah.
It's only where you haven't got either.
Oh, we said in effect we're moving the second
The first
part of the sentence to the first
The
part.
first business shall be to elect a substitute chair for that meeting.
Don't
only.
use the word substitute
No,
in this
it's a
context.
chair. That's
A
fine.
chair for
For
that
the
meeting only.
Yeah, for the meeting.
For
For
that
the meeting, that's
for the
right.
meeting.
That meeting.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
So do we need, why do we need this last sentence then? We
yes.
can take this off as well, can't
Okay.
What?
no, I think that
No,
stays
So that stays step.
because a substitute committee member can attend on behalf of somebody else.
Let me just check it.
Or same thing.
No, it has to stay.
Yes, it has to stay. But could you, Peter, for the actual title 4.6, absence of
Ah,
What?
chair?
Well, no, because the next para doesn't, it goes wider.
absence from.
Okay, yes, you're right.
4,
right,
6,
yeah,
2.
it does. Well spotted.
This is
We
the
tried
chair.
ourselves in not so 4, 6, 2.
Yeah, we did.
It's very.
Yes.
I think it's sort of a knock.
It's very sort of case by case, really.
yes, if someone's has a serious.
When the appointed chair.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
Isn't this the relevant clause to the famous Jackie Weaver, you've no authority here?
Yeah.
You know, read the standing orders.
Yes.
We've got vice chair is here.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're right. So I think 4.61's okay. Now, yeah?
Yes.
4.62, this is about the councillors rather than the chair.
Yeah.
Which they are a member must have the reason approved by full council during the 6 month period. Not sure about that. How can you have the full council deciding within the period if you've got to miss 6 months?
Yeah.
I don't even know why it's in there, to be frank. Unless it's to say that somebody is a nominal councillor but they never turn up.
Yes. Because is it, sorry, I might be wrong, but isn't there a situation where somebody just doesn't turn up and they can actually be voted off the council?
Well, that's basically what it's.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you need,
People annulate.
but you would still be a councillor from Tenerife or wherever. Well, you could be an MP and never turn up, but
Yeah.
still make lots of dosh as
Yes.
the Attorney General did.
Yes.
And Nadine Doris is doing at the moment.
Oh, I suppose she's still an MP, isn't she?
Which has an
Okay, are we happy with that then? 4.6. No further changes.
That is correct. Now, I'm just conscious of time. I said
So-
we would give ourselves
20
20
minutes.
20 minutes.
We've got public involvement, we've finished that.
Yeah. Conduct of meeting.
Appoint person, so I can take my comment off there now.
Yeah.
Extend the time limits for public participation.
Yes.
We've done that.
Rules of debate.
Rules of debate are
Which we
all
can do anything.
good.
Yep.
And then
This is the new one, is 6.6.
one.
Yeah. Automatic development. Ooh,
This is be a division.
And the standing invitation.
standing invitations, yes, that's a better wording. Right. Do we want to invite district and county councillors to all standing committees except HR?
I think you might be just inviting them to
10.
the
Right.
full to the council meetings, and then isn't it down to the chairperson of a working group, if a working group is really related to a matter that's at the hands of a district or county councillor, to invite them.
Yeah, so do we want, I mean, de facto, I think at least one district councillor attends almost every meeting.
So, the standing request is for the town council meetings. isn't
Yes.
it? Full town council meetings.
Yes.
Everything else beyond that is open in the sense that what Peter says about inviting them on a case by case basis, but we could do that in any case as a working group,
Yeah.
for example.
Sure.
They can always attend as a public participant in any case. So I'm not sure we need to. Do we need to go below the level of a
No, because but then it would say, for example, at the planning committee yesterday, why was the district councillor sitting at the table?
Well, you know, for me, to be quite honest, I think because planning permission is actually granted by the district council, I think that is a, you know, it's linked into kind of Dover, isn't it? But it's Dover that actually issues the
But if
planning
that person
permission.
doesn't sit on the planning
Committee.
at Dover level, it doesn't have
Neither of our district councillors are on the planning.
Yeah, but they can't be on every committee, and they, you know, they're representing. So if there is a particularly strong item that comes from the Sandwich Town Council planning meeting, they should be aware of it, you know, maybe first hand or whatever, so that they can make a proper representation to people in Dover.
Yeah, I think this is very important actually, because if we object to a planning application,
Yeah.
one of the measures open to us is to ask our district councillor or councillors to what we call it in. In other words, it has to be discussed at a Dover planning meeting,
Yes.
and that's why that link is so important.
Yeah.
So could we get round this by saying the town clerk will extend a standing invitation to the relevant county and district council to attend council meetings and the planning committee? Or
No, I think at the moment, as a standing invite, it is to the town council meetings. That's where the
Right.
standing invite is.
so then you
Yes,
need
but, no, sorry, I think we need to take the planning committee point in the terms of reference for the planning committee, rather than introduce that section here.
say again, sorry, didn't quite follow that.
So, sorry if I heard you correctly, Martin. What you're saying is that the terms of reference for other committees shall decide as to whether they wish to make a
Yes.
standing
Yeah,
invitation
that's
to
fine, yes.
to
I'm
district or-
content, because I can't imagine necessarily the heritage and townscape might want to have one all the time, but you can understand with the explanation about the planning committee.
Yeah.
And then F and GP, well, I'm not sure why you would extend the,
Well, to maybe, I don't know. But
Yes. Okay, yes, go ahead, then we'll do
Yeah.
that.
I go along with that suggestion that in terms of each committee may decide
May
whether to
extend
request the regular attendance.
Standing invitation, yeah. Okay, Christine, sorry.
It's difficult for me to see it as being relevant to the finance and general purpose, but on the heritage and townscape, which looks outwards, there are a number of areas that it covers that there may be some advantage to having DDC input on those, to invite that input, that say waterways, parks, so forth. There's quite a lot that there might be involvement with.
In that case, it should be up to the committee chair
Yes.
to extend and decide the involvement of the district or county.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Right, so each committee shall, in their terms of reference,
Yeah.
decide on the involvement of district or county councils.
Good, that's good, yes.
All right, happy with that?
Yeah, good. Encourage to provide an oral report, and they may provide additional written matter. Good.
Well, I made the point at the last meeting that I felt if a councillor, a district or county councillor is unable to attend the meeting, at which they were going to give a verbal report, that they should submit a written report. You know, they may,
Yes.
you know, they may have a puncture coming to the meeting or
Yeah.
car breaking.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, they should be obliged to provide a written report.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Right, 662.
So, sorry, 662 will be encouraged to provide an oral report, shall provide an oral report if in attendance.
Can we instruct them? Shall implies instruction, and I don't.
No, we can't.
Will be requested.
Be
I think-
requested, encourage
I think
request.
encouraged is okay, Peter.
Okay.
That would be our preference,
I-
but we can't force that.
Encouraged rather than suggested.
You're looking quizzical.
You think encouraged is stronger than requested?
No, I think requested is stronger.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah.
Okay, requested to provide. Okay.
They can still turn down the request, can't they?
Yes, well, that's,
Right.
An oral report if in attendance.
Yeah,
You know,
can't do the other way.
don't we have on the standing agenda,
Well, you
or you know,
starting.
on the agenda that I so far that I've seen, there's been a report from district and county councils as an agenda item.
yes, but they may choose to sit strong. Who knows?
Right. Well, if that's what I'm saying, it might be that the town clerk doesn't want to report, or the town mayor decide they don't want to report that particular month.
Right. I think
Yes.
we need to decide on that, and
Yes.
then probably the date. Because
Yeah.
I'm just reading Jill's text. There's one that's going to be a little bit more.
Maybe to look at the minutes.
There's very little. There's very little after this.
Good. Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah. No. So there's very little after this.
Okay. Right. Can I change the focus of the meeting, please? I had 3 responses from Jill. The first one was about she will do her best to include it in the July meeting. The second one, we've talked about some of the detail about scheduled publication, the number of speakers, and so on. The other issue that we have got is, I've noted in the draft standing orders a reduction in the duties of the mayor. Remember there was a great long list of
80K.
duties?
Yes.
And she said, I want to clarify how the working group see the relationship between the town clerk and the mayor. Yeah, I was a bit confused about that. There was about 20 items listed there, and surely that does not need to be written down.
do not those 20 roll into those 3?
I think that is the case, but anyway, Christine, please.
Is it perhaps because historically we've not been clear on the responsibilities of the town clerk, and indeed not only the mayor but perhaps councillors have actually been trying to help cover aspects of the role, but now that we've got a fully qualified town clerk almost on a full-time basis shortly hopefully, then actually perhaps it's for the town clerk to
Decide.
to help clarify that.
But you don't need it in standing orders. It's like, sorry, the Vice-Chancellor and the Secretary of the University do not need a set of instructions from court to say this is how we will do things.
It could perhaps be an appendix, the responsibilities of the town clerk and the responsibilities of the mayor.
Sorry, what I'm struggling with is what was the full list before?
No, that's what I've just passed out here. So I've got a full list here of 23 items.
Yeah, and ridiculous.
For the proper officer.
Yeah,
I do think there are specific areas where the town clerk and the chair need to talk to each other, need to work together. But I would have thought in the town clerk's terms of reference or job description,
yes,
that would be made much more operational.
Yeah.
it should be in the JD, and also I don't think we can put in standing orders.
Yeah.
It
Because
seems bizarre.
you know, to be quite honest, in my line of thinking, it depends on the strengths and the weaknesses of people.
Yeah.
Because the mayor will want to work, if the mayor's particularly strong, for instance, on IT matters, he may do more of the work in respect of IT matters than the town clerk.
Okay, thank you. Christine wants to make a point.
I think if you refer to the SLCC, which is the professional body for town clerks that was referenced in the last meeting, that actually lays out the responsibilities, and it does also emphasise that actually the mayor and the councillors, they shouldn't be trying to take on the town clerk's responsibilities. It does need to be clear.
But of course, that does need clarity, but I'm not sure it needs to go into standing orders. This is how the council operates. This is not how the mayor and the town clerk work.
I can envisage, if you want something really in there, I can envisage something quite general, say to work with the town clerk to ensure the smooth functioning of council business.
Yes, Christine.
You might have, in the standing orders per se, you might actually have things relating to the standing orders, such as the issuing of minutes, the issuing of the agendas, where that falls under the town clerk, not the mayor. And so there, but there may be, but consultation with the mayor or consultation with chairs. So perhaps things that are relevant to other items in the standing orders might fit within the standing orders, but the whole piece, well, what are the full responsibilities, could perhaps sit as a separate document or an appendix elsewhere.
Right, I'm happy to be overruled, but I don't think this has anything to do with standing orders and the way that the council operates. This is a matter for the mayor's own, or our deputy mayor's, ways of working, the job description of the town clerk, and if it's in SLCC, then we can make a reference to say that details in SLCC. I would not put it in standing orders, which are about the way that the council actually operates in its public persona.
I think, sorry, just trying to adjudicate a little bit on that. Do we need to add a fourth bullet point there to complete the requirements of standing orders? to complete any tasks assigned to the mayor under the standing orders.
Yes? Yeah. Well, you could have an appendix which is really, I don't see outstanding orders. I mean, it's like telling a judge how he should work for the clerk of the court. You don't do that.
I think we have a history, though, of things being very fuzzy, and just in our own history, where perhaps, well, things have been blurred, and I wouldn't expect them to be blurred to the same degree going forward. And maybe this is really more a case of where we've come from rather than where we're going.
Well, I'm conscious we've got 5 minutes left, and what is the consensus? Should we, I do not believe we should have a long list of duties in 214. Are we in agreement about that?
Yes.
Right. So 214 is clear, it will not be early. And you could say something to work in accordance with the guidelines produced by SLCC.
Most people won't see those, though, will they?
Yes, I'm not concerned. This is concerning the mayor and the town clerk, because the public and councillors are not allowed to sit in the meeting between the mayor and the town clerk. I'm being very pedantic here, I know, but
So the councillors.
when the town clerk has regular meetings with the mayor.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay,
and they're discussing agenda and everything else.
So is his role then to be the line manager for the town clerk?
I think it is, but yeah.
I think that probably might come out of the HR committee discussions.
I'm just
But it is the case.
Good, yeah. Well, right.
Let's put we'll just put
DQ in there in question, isn't there?
yeah,
2, 1,
to be
4.
resolved.
TBR, yes. Okay, folks. I'm sorry we have to cut.
Yeah.
Scott. I think we're making very good progress, and Peter, in particular, I'd like to thank you for all the input. Would you be able to send us a copy of how far we've got to? And I'd like to send that to the town clerk, if that is.
I can I'll issue that this afternoon. I'll just
that'd be
go
great.
through it again,
Yes.
just in case there's any little thing.
Sorry?
Minutes from the last meeting, you push those to the end, just to
Is-
make sure we're happy with those.
have
I
we-
just had one very small comment,
Yes.
but whilst we sometimes feel like losing the will to live doing this, there is something in here that I don't think we want included, which was it refers
Corpse.
to corpse rather than scope.
Can you remind me of exactly which paragraph?
So that's it's.
I will change that.
Yeah. So it's the discussion on the document.
You really meant the corpus.
It could be. So yes. So it's the discussion on the document overview paragraph around about page 4, depending on.
I will amend that. Yes. I will amend.
We are not a corpse of a working group, are we yet?
Corpus.
No scope.
Scope will do better. Okay, folks. Thank you, Christine. Also, thank you for your contributions.
Thank you.
Very welcome. We have another meeting, and this will be the last meeting at this particular session we have at 10:30 next Thursday.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And there'll still just be the 4 of us.
Yes.
St. Peter's away, Nick is
Nick
away
yes.
until. I don't know if he's been watching his live stream. You never know.
You never
Poor
know.
man. I tell.
Well, there might be better in France.
Are we now turned off?